Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone to today's webinar on a very enlightening infectious topic. Let me walk you through today's program. First of all, we have the recitation of the Holy Quran, followed by a brief summary about Australian Concept Infertility Medical Center. After that, Dr. Safia will present on the topic of ovarian rejuvenation, myth or a reality. At the end of the sessions, you will have question and answers. You will be able to post your questions in the webinar system and they will be answered one by one. Now let's start with the recitation of the Let me give you a brief introduction about history of Australian Concept Infertility Medical Center and progress. We have successfully completed 22 years of service in the field of IVF and have the largest IVF branching network. We are responsible for the delivery of the first frozen embryo transfer baby of Pakistan, and we are delivering world-class IVF lab services with consistently high success rates. We are providing complete IVF treatment under one roof. We are independently quality assured by Australian scientists on regular basis. We are always active in supporting non-affording patients through Angel Trust, and we have trained the highest number of gynecologists in IVF techniques and technologies in all over Pakistan. Now, before moving forward towards our topic, I would like to introduce you to our esteemed consultant and infertility specialist, Dr. Safia Sultana Munir. She has done her graduation from King Edward Medical College, and after her MBBS, she has done FCPS and PGA in ART from UK. She is the Associate Professor at Shalimar Institute of Health Sciences at Lahore and also leading infertility specialist at Australian Concept. She is keenly interested in academics and research work for international journals and publications, has attained master's level postgraduate award in ART from Warwick University, UK, and in addition to clinical course in ART from Singapore. She is a fellow of minimal access surgery from World Laparoscopy Hospital as well as diploma in gynae endoscopy from Kehl School of Germany and also from India. She has published her research papers in national and international journals and also presented her research work in international conferences held in Pakistan, SSAF, Aspire, and Reproductive Health in ART. She is a member of International Society of Gynecological Endoscopy member of IVF Society of Pakistan also. Now I am handing over to Dr. Safia so she can present her topic.
Everyone, Dr. Safia Sultana Munir, and today our topic is ovarian rejuvenation. Ovarian rejuvenation. We are going to talk about it, whether it is a myth or it is a reality. So, this is a challenging scenario in assisted reproduction. Women who develop premature ovarian deficiency, this is a hypergonadotrophic state, and previously it was known as premature ovarian failure. It occurs usually before 40 years of age and affects 1 to 3% of the women. The POI is a continuum of disorder, and there are four clinical stages. That is, first of all, there is occult POI, that is premature ovarian insufficiency. Patient presents with unexplained infertility with normal FSH. Second is biochemical POI, that is unexplained infertility with raised FSH. Then there is overt premature ovarian insufficiency when elevated serum FSH is accompanied by a menstrual cycle disturbance, such as it may be oligomenorrhea, polymenorrhea, or metrorrhagia. Then there is a POI, that is extreme state of the follicle depletion. And usually this state is said to be irreversible when the follicles have depleted and patient presents with amenorrhea, there is anovulation, and there is also raised FSH level. Etiology mostly unknown, but there are combination of inherited conditions that may involve the sex chromosomes, autosomal chromosomes, or various genes may be involved. It may be immune disorders, environmental toxins, or it may be iatrogenic injury, such as patient has undergone ovarian surgery, chemotherapy, or radiotherapy. But majority they are idiopathic. Mechanism appears to be accelerated follicle depletion in premature ovarian insufficiency. How we diagnose? At least there should be two levels of elevated FSH level more than or equal to 40 international units and AMH level below 4 nanogram per ml. It is inferred that we cannot help such patients. No therapeutic intervention is effective. Only the egg donation is the reliable option. And the children born through the egg donation, they are not genetically related to the parents, so mostly it is not acceptable. So once the patient is diagnosed premature ovarian insufficiency, it is very distressing, and there are physical as well as the mental suffering for such patients. We already know that in our body, in the female fetus, that is, and after the birth as well, that is, there is a natural course of atresia of the antral follicles. That at 20 weeks of gestation, female fetus has 6 to 7 million oocytes. At birth, because of atresia of these primordial follicles, she is born with 1 to 2 million oocytes. Then again, this ongoing atresia, this results in the number of antral follicles, that is 300,000 to 500,000 at puberty. At around 37 years of age, they are only 25%. And when she goes into menopause, that is about 51 years of age, the oocyte decline to the 1000. So the patient has gonadotrophin dependent and stimulus responsive follicle depletion, both in premature ovarian insufficiency and poor responders. But there is hope, as small number of the quiescent or dormant primordial follicles they remain. These could potentially be activated and the stimulated to the growth, and they can contribute to the final GEAT after activation and the growth. Now, there are various modalities, the studies are going on, and these ovarian rejuvenation therapies we can divide into three. That is, there is in vitro activation, there is second is a platelet plasma, and third is the bone marrow derived stem cell infusion. So, we will talk about them one by one. First of all, there is IVA, that is in vitro activation. We already know from our previous knowledge and the clinical scenarios that patient of infertility who presents with the PCO when they undergo ovarian wedge resection or this is ovarian drilling, there is ovarian fragmentation. And this ovarian fragmentation, this leads to the release of the mechanical stress and they have follicular growth after that. And now in the recent times, the studies they have been performed on the mice, that is ovarian fragmentation, and that have resulted in the stimulation of the secondary follicular growth. The studies in the mice, they have been extensively carried out, and the ovaries removed laparoscopically, and then it is stripped to the small, that is strips of the cortex, medulla is removed, and these strips then they are checked under microscope histologically for the presence of the primordial follicles. Then they are again cultured, and the autologous reimplantation is done under the fallopian tubes, and these are then monitored for the growth of these follicles. And the studies have shown that by undergoing this procedure, that is in vitro activation, residual follicle growth could be found in 50% of the patient. There was increased quantity of mature oocytes after infertility treatment, and in this way, the women who are presenting with the POI as well as the cancer survivor, they can have their own genetic children. So, what is the underlying mechanism of this fragmentation? There is a recent article that published in Fertility Study 2020 that when the ovaries they undergo fragmentation, incision or drilling or wedge resection, there is a release of hyposignaling. What is this hyposignaling? Hyposignaling, these are the growth factors. They negatively they have the influence on the cell growth, the organ growth, and when we do the fragmentation, this hyposignaling is disrupted so that the active growth factors they get upregulated, and such as apoptosis inhibitors and CCN, these factors they are upregulated, and the secondary follicular growth occurs, and the hyposignals they are disrupted. Now the second therapy is the platelet-rich plasma. Platelet-rich plasma is a natural product that is obtained by concentration of the platelets, and the platelets in turn they release the cascade of the growth factors which help in the promotion of the follicles. And when the platelet-rich plasma with concentrated platelets is obtained, the growth factors they increase by 3 to 5 times higher than the peripheral plasma. And these growth factors which are released, these are platelet derivate growth factors, transforming growth factor beta, vessel endothelial growth factor, epidermal growth factor, fibroblast growth factor, and insulin growth factor. All these growth factors they have an important role in cell proliferation, chemotaxis, differentiation of the mesenchyme other cells, and they promote angiogenesis. Now how this PRP is prepared. That is 30 to 40 ml of the blood is taken, and this blood is then divided into the two tubes, and they are subjected to the revolutions, that is 3000 per minute and for 8 minutes, and then this plasma that divides into the three portions, that is the lowermost it contains the CBC, middle layer contains the platelet as well as the WBC, and the topmost layer is the supernatant. The lowermost layer is discarded, and the middle and the upper layer again they are divided into the two tubes, and further revolutions and centrifugation is done for 5 minutes at 4000 rests. And then the product which is obtained that contains a platelet-rich concentration, and at the end we get 2 to 5 ml of this platelet plasma, and then the patient is called, and at the end of the period, and just like we do the ovum pickup, and with the Cook's needle, and we introduce this platelet plasma into each ovary, into the cortex. And mild sedation such as propofol can be given, or if the patient tolerates, it can be given directly without anesthesia, and patient can go home on the same day. Recently, a study was published in that is 2020, and this was in the Frontiers of Endocrinology, and the authors they reported a live birth of the patient with the premature ovarian insufficiency, and she received ovarian administration of the platelet plasma. She was a 37-year-old patient, and she presented with secondary amenorrhea. Her AMH was undetectable, that is only less than 0.2 nanogram, and FSH was elevated to 63.6. Autologous PRP extracted 40 ml of the peripheral blood that was introduced, and following the IVF, 3 cleavage stage embryos they were transferred, and she delivered twin live birth. Another case series of the 3 patients who are co-responders that were published recently in the 2019, and in Gynecological Obstetric Investigation Journal, and the patients they were transfused that's autologous PRP into the ovary on the both the sides, and their FSH level fell by 67.33%, and AMH level rose by 75.18%, and there was 3 natural pregnancies, one at the 24 weeks, one uncomplicated healthy pregnancy at 17 weeks, and there was a successful live birth. Then there were 4 patients, they were poor responders, that is according to the Ashray criteria. Previously they were their cycles were cancelled because of the poor follicular recruitment, and now they received the PRP, and each ovary was followed 2 weekly for the growth of the follicles. Then underwent IVF treatment, and the authors were able to achieve 5.3 plus minus 1.3 mature and 2 oocytes, and each patient had at least 1 blastocyst for the transfer. So intra-ovarian effects from the PRP delivery they are complex. Mechanism of action, cross-signaling among the PRP mediators is not fully understood. Research should be accelerated in this area, and the randomized controlled trials, including the larger population, is required. Now we come to our the next method of the rejuvenation of the ovaries, and these are the stem cells. Stem cells, there are 5 decades of the investigations that have emerged. That is, the stem cells, they are versatile and frequently utilized cell source for tissue engineering and the regenerative medicines. They are multipotent cells. They have extraordinary capacity for immunomodulation as well as angiogenic signaling. They can differentiate towards a range of the cell lineage. And this is a photographic evidence. These, they can be obtained from the bone marrow and or from the fat, or they can come from the umbilical cord, and then they are treated with the addition of the modulating factors. They are cultured and they can directly be infused into the tissues, and they can regenerate the tissues. And now we'll talk in the context of our ovarian rejuvenation, the use of the stem cells. Recently, there was a study carried on the autologous stem cell ovarian transplantation. And these authors, that is, they carried out the studies in the mice. That is, the ovaries, they were subjected to the chemotherapy, and then they were given these stem cells, and then they studied the response, and in the response they saw that even the spontaneous pregnancies they were, and they could be able to rescue the ovarian function. The mechanism of action is, that is, paracrine action, such as ability of stem cells to secrete cytokines, chemokines, and the growth factors that promote the follicular growth. There is also stem cell signaling, and there is also angiogenesis. The method of the bone marrow derived stem cell mobilization to the peripheral blood is by the patient is given granulocyte colony stimulating factor in the dose of 10 units per kg per day for 5 days, and then the by cell separator flow apheresis is done, and these stem cells, they are isolated. Then they are cultured, and they are delivered directly into the ovarian artery by intra-arterial catheter into the femoral artery under the interventional radiology. And other ovary act as a control, and it is given into the one ovary. This autologous stem cell, the ovarian transplantation of the bone marrow derived stem cells, these have opened the new frontiers for the treatment of such patients. And there was a recent study in which the 7 co-responder patients, they were given, and they were followed. Their intrafollicular count, they increased significantly. The p-value is 0.031. AMH increased markedly in some patients in the next 4 weeks. Ovarian reserve increased 13 patients by 81.3 patients. ART in 15 co-responder patients resulted in the pregnancy rate of 33.3%. And when the growth factor was studied in such patients who were given autologous stem cell transplantation, they were FGF2 as well as THSP factors, they increase. This FGF2 is expressed in early human follicles and plays a key role in the estrogen production. Its expression is associated with improved follicular development and the angiogenesis. So ESCOT, that is autologous stem cells ovarian transplantation, it is a semi-invasive and easily reproducible technique. It optimizes the mobilization of the existing ovarian reserve in women who present with a premature ovarian insufficiency and who are co-responders. So it has provided, ESCOT has provided a paradigm shift for the fertility treatment in such patients. And we are envisaging a new method for the activity of the dormant follicles. Further work in larger population is needed before considering ESCOT as a real alternative for managing patients with impaired ovarian function. Current evidence is limited, so larger studies, they should be done on that. Thank you very much. Now the field is open for the questions. We are sorry for the initial interruption. There was disturbance in the mic, and there is a one question someone has asked: if the patient has RH immunization and repeated high drops, is IVF an option? IVF in research immunization and repeated high drops, if the patient is naturally conceiving, it doesn't help to reduce our RH immunization, and I don't know, it doesn't have any role. Normal level of the in the reproductive years, the normal level is that should be 2 to 4 nanogram per ml. Anyone interested in more questions, please, you are free to ask. So now we conclude our study. So there are three methods of the ovarian rejuvenations, and the results they are improving. That is IVA. There are many births that are taking place by employing this method in China as well as in Japan. And PRP it is a new method. Larger studies, but people have reported case series as well as there were also the studies by employing the PRP in the patients, and they have seen the growth as well as the growth of the primary follicles as well as the reduction in the FSH level and improvement in the ovarian reserve, that is by increase in the AMH level. And the autologous stem cell, that is we are seeing a new method, that is it has opened a new frontiers, and we can really help, and there have been successful births taking place. This 0.016, it is very low. The patient can be helped with this PRP. The patient can be given that because it is a simple method, and this can easily be done. As we have initially, the question is at what age one should go for the ovarian rejuvenation. In the beginning of the slides, we have defined if the patient is below 40 years of age, her AMH level is below zero point 0.4 nanogram, and FSH level have risen, she is a right candidate for the ovarian rejuvenation. There is another question. In UK, two separate FSS levels above 25 are considered as POF. Here it was mentioned 14. Can you please guide us through? This is the latest guidelines, and I have seen the research papers. I have shown you the slides. That is the latest publication, even from the September 2020 fertility sterility. We have taken the studies, and the diagnosis was defined as, that is when the two levels of 40 international units of FSH they are seen, the patient is diagnosed and the patient is under 40 years of age, she is diagnosed as having premature ovarian insufficiency. I think that's all. Thank you very much for the inquiries. I think you will gain something so that we can offer the hope to such patients who have their low AMH level, they are below 40, and they are very distressed with the too much psychological impact on their lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sapia, for such a very informative presentation. And I would also like to thank our audience for staying with us. You all will receive certificates within an hour after the session ends. If you want to know more about our center, you can visit our website or you can contact on our UN, that is 0304 111 22229. Thank you so much.